Good morning, Facebook. Coming to you on Thursday morning today because once again I have another graduation to attend. Tis the season, and I'm going to be nipping off this afternoon to go to a dinner and to honor my son's high school graduation, which I'm pretty excited about. And thankfully, it's timed so that I won't miss too much session, and I think there's enough debate going on that I won't miss too many votes. So I wanted to catch you up on some Memorial Day events and let you know what's happening in the House this week. First of all, Memorial Day weekend was a nice, glorious weekend. We had a little moment of summer, a little respite from the rain, which was nice. Lots of parades in our neck of the woods, which is always fun. And as I've noted before, there's something magical about the small town parade on Memorial Day because as we honor, veterans who have sacrificed their lives for us, literally and metaphorically, we know these people. These people are our neighbors and friends, and when their names of the fallen heroes are read out, there are streets named after them, and we know their grandkids and their cousins, and so and everybody in my town in particular, and I think it's true throughout our district, people turn out. You see more people on Memorial Day weekend than I often do throughout the whole rest of the year. So it's always really wonderful to be together with all of my neighbors and to honor the people who have made this country what it is and enabled the rest of us to live a quality of life that we wouldn't have without their sacrifice. So thank you to all of you and all of you that I saw this weekend. I also got to participate in another ritual this weekend on Saturday. I was at an Eagle Scout honor court where two young men made the incredibly impressive rank of Eagle Scout. John Alfred Purdy and Robert Cleveland Murtaugh were awarded that honor, and it was really great to be there with their families who have been so committed to them, and they in turn return that respect for their families and their community, and they're really going to be fine leaders that I look forward to seeing over a long period of time. We also honored their leader, Peter Salino, who has been part of helping 13 young men become Eagle Scouts, and that's a really Sharon, and that's a really impressive feat as well. I also want to add that I discovered that day that Lauren Murtaugh, Robert's sister, won the highest award in the Girl Scouts on the same day. So impressive family impressive things for that family. So congratulations to all of them. And I imagine, like a lot of you, that Memorial Day weekend always, of the lesser rites of Memorial Day weekend, I did a lot of gardening and got some sunburn because my like many of us around here who haven't been locked in windowless rooms for so many months, see a little sunshine and we can't handle it. But planted a lot of tomato plants this weekend and got shamed by one of my daughters into upping our compost game because it turns out it actually works. So we need to be a little bit more disciplined about that. I also had Sharon Center School and Salisbury Central School were here in the Capitol on Tuesday, I think, and I missed them, and I was so sad. I had an appropriations meeting that I couldn't leave, but I hope if there are any students or teachers from those schools out there, I hope you had a fantastic visit, and I'd love to. I've already spoken with Salisbury Central School about coming to them to visit their classroom, which I would love to do, but I'd love to do that in other classrooms as well, especially once the session gets out. So love to have kids in the Capitol. It's a really great thing to do. The League of Women Voters does incredible tours here. So it's an impressive and really fun thing to do. So if any of you are tempted, and whether you're part of a school or not, come on down and visit us. Then one more ritual in the hands of rituals. We start every session by saying with a prayer and by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and each pledge is led by a different elected official, and yesterday that was me. And it was a special occasion because we had all the fire chiefs from around the state there, and we had a special honor guard come in with the flags, and so that made it a particularly nice occasion to remember why we're here and why we serve and the people who make more people who make sacrifices for our community. So that was an extra fun thing. The rest of the time we have spent in that glorious but largely windowless room in the chamber, debating and passing some bills. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those that I think are really important that I personally have been focused on. One of them is a green economy bill, which I've heard from a lot of you on, and has a lot of parts of it of interest to across the board, but to the agricultural community, it involves anaerobic digesters, and also extends renewable energy programs, including traditional net metering, and extends the Green Bank Renewable Solar Investment Program. It expands the virtual net metering cap. It also requires, it includes a Green Jobs Career Ladder website for jobs in the green technology industry. It has a broad array of commitment to clean energy and to our economy. And I think it's a hugely important bill. It's very detailed. But it got a lot. It was worked on for many, many, many months, in fact, probably years. Parts of it that I have been more involved in than others. But it, in the end of the day, it got a lot of bipartisan support because it really does, it's good for everybody. So that was a really impressive thing to get across the board, and I hope the Senate votes on it soon. So knock on your senator's door, make sure they raise it. We also passed a bill on school climate, which makes numerous changes to laws relating to school bullying and climate in general, including establishing a council on social and emotional learning, redefining bullying in a way that's more in tune with what we know about it today. It's about conducting school climate assessments and providing training and materials for schools to use best practices in the area. There are some really heartbreaking stories of bullying in our schools, some of which I have been familiar with personally, and in my family we've experienced that. It is a real, truly life-shattering event, and we can do much better. And we know much more today about how to prevent it and how to notice it. So that was another really good bill. We also passed a bill about wasteful spending in the government, which, again, I was actually surprised it didn't have total bipartisan support. It essentially, it sets up a rewards program for state employees who are able to identify wasteful spending that can save the government $10,000 and up by giving them a small share, if it's 5% or less of those proceeds. We as legislators, and anyone, if you're the head of a company, if you're working if you're the head of an organization, often you don't see everything that's going on the ground. And I certainly, knocking on doors, talked to a lot of people who worked for the state at lower levels who could see ways of handling things that they believed were wasteful. And we have to make sure that information gets to the people who can make those changes, because you may assume that they understand what's happening, but they don't. And so I think this is a really good program that can help make the government leaner and more attentive to detail and efficiency, which is really important here. Speaking of wastefulness, however, we also debated another bill which did not make it across the finish line, which was disappointing to me. It was a bill to ban plastic straws. Actually, rephrase, it was not a bill to ban plastic straws. All it did was change habits so that you weren't automatically provided with a plastic straw. You have to ask for one. If you ask for one, you will get one. You can ask for one for any and all reasons. And people, it was particularly sensitive to people with disabilities who need a straw, actually. And so it dealt with that. It was a very I thought, very thoughtful way just to reduce the number of single-use plastic straws in our environment, which we all know, and which I heard from legislators across the spectrum, are damaging our environment and our wildlife and our oceans. But we were treated instead to a lot of, let's see, I'll skip the adjectives, but a lot of long debate, and the debate went on for several hours, and so we did not vote on that bill. And I'm hopeful that many of us who thought it was a good bill and ought to get a chance to get a vote, hope it gets raised again. But it felt like all those resources of the state, all those legislators who are being paid by Connecticut taxpayers sitting there debating something that actually, I didn't hear much criticism of the bill. I just heard a lot of questioning on and on in a way that was meant to take up time. And here at this time of the year, when you take time, that takes time from other important things that we do need to pass. So I'm hopeful that will come back, but that did not pass. So I am now getting, you may have heard in the background a moment ago, the call to session. So I'm going to gather up my papers and head over to the Capitol. But I hope you all have a great weekend. I hope we see a little sunshine again, and I will see you next week. Bye.